So today, we're going to be speaking about a very, very, very special lifesaver. So I want you to go with me to the order of creation. You know, the Bible says that God created the earth in 7 days. So the first day, we're gonna show it here. The first day, it says that God created light. Repeat after me, light. God created light. I hate that sound, but that's okay. Something is happening with my microphone. And the second day, it says that God created the heavens. The third day, yes, thank you, Jackie. The third day, it says God created land and vegetation. The fourth day, he created the sun, the moon, and the stars. I remember that because we had a song when Ale was learning about creation. We did a song, I remember, and he would say like, day 4, the sun, moon, and stars. So we created this horrible, corny song for her to learn the creation, okay? And then day number 5, it says God created the fish and the birds. And day 6, God created the land animals and human beings. So what day were we created? Day 6. And now listen to what happened on day 7. It says, Genesis 2:2. On the 7th day, God had finished his work of creation, so he rested from all his work. And God blessed the 7th day and declared it holy, because it was the day when he rested from all his work of creation. So I have a question. How many days did it take God to create the world?
6.
So 6 or 7?
6. On the 7th, finished.
You're saying that's a trick question. No, it's not a quiz, don't worry. Okay? The Bible says in other places that it took him 7 days, but he worked for 6 days. So creation took 7 days, but God worked for? Because the 7th day of creation, that is part of creation, what did he do? He rested. He rested. He was done, so he rested. Okay, so today we're going to speak about the importance of rest. Something young people love to do. I mean, they really love to sleep, not to rest. I know people hate to do. And the word rest in the Bible means Shabbat. It means to stop. Repeat after me, stop. It means to stop, to rest. And the word work, when the Bible says that God noticed that he had finished all his work, the word work, so I know you're in one of these categories. It means occupation, work, business, responsibility, projects, and ministry. So it doesn't matter in what stage of your life you are. It's included in this word work. Because if you're a student, that's your occupation. If you are not a student, you already work, well, that's work. Remember, you're a businessman. Business is there. Responsibilities, projects, and even if you're a minister, it says ministry. I didn't invent this word. These words are in the definition of the Hebrew word melaka, which means work. So basically, we read the verse again. It says, on the 7th day, God had finished his project of creation, his business, his work, his ministry. So he stopped from all his project, ministry, responsibility, business, occupation. And God blessed the 7th day and declared it holy, because it was the day when he stopped from all his project, business, occupation of creation. So from this verse, we can extract 3 principles that I want to teach you today that are very important. The first one is that rest is holy unto God. So the first principle that we're going to extract from this passage is that rest is holy unto God. And I have an example for you guys. This week I went to a store that I like a lot, and Danny loves that store. It's called Think Geek. Do you know what that store is? Okay, for geeky people. Okay, even though you don't believe it, I have my geek side. Okay, and Danny, yes, I have it. And Danny loves, geek stuff. And these are stores where you find like collectibles and how to say, like figures, like figurines and figures for, like Stranger Things and Star Trek and Star Wars and, people that love geek things. So we went to this place, and Danny loves some figures called Funko Pops. I don't know if you know the Funko Pops. I'm going to show you the first picture. These are the Funko Pops. Okay? Danny has a lot of them. And I thought he was finishing his collection until I went to ThinkGeek. And they have a huge wall full of Funko Pops of every kind you can imagine, from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and today, like the radio station Coast. Okay? And so we went there, and I was worried because first I thought Danny was finishing his collection. Danny was just beginning the collection. And then he went on the wall. He was there, and he went like, I want them all. That was exactly what he said. And I said, okay, I think I made a mistake bringing my son to this place. Daddy, I want them all. I want this, and I want. So I noticed something. They had all these Funko Pops there, but they had another place where they had some limited edition Funko Pop. Like this one. The difference is that the other Funko Pop is like between $9 and $15. This one is $6,500. This is Freddy Funko ¿cómo se llama? Boba Fett. $6,500. So they have this limited edition, very rare collectibles in another shelf, locked with a window, so you can see them, but you cannot touch them or get close to them. So they have them there, repeat after me, separated. Say, for protection. Okay, so the reason is because if somebody steals or breaks or damages one of the common ones, nothing happens to the store or to the store manager. But if somebody steals Freddy Funko Boba Fett, first of all, the store is gonna get a financial hit. The operation of the store is gonna be affected, and I'm sure next time you go, there's gonna be a new manager. Okay? So they have this figurine separated, set apart, because if something happens to this Freddy Funko Boba Fett figure, it can affect the whole store. Okay, the Bible teaches that of all the things that we do on our daily lives, everything, work, fun, everything, God separated rest. Because when it says that He declared it holy. The rest day He declared it holy. Holy means separated. So I need you to use this example to understand this. Why did God separate rest? Why didn't He separate work? Why didn't He separate, I don't know, going to a stadium? He separated rest. Because if something happens to rest, it's going to mess up all your life. Like if something happens to Freddy Funko Boba Fett, it's going to mess up the whole store. So you have to understand that God knows that rest is something that needs to be protected. Because if you don't protect rest, it's going to affect all your life. How you function, your relationships, how you work, your productivity, how you study, how you memorize things. But we live in an era when we don't want to rest. In fact, we want to be as productive as possible, but we think that productivity is cramming, as much things or how to say, tasks as possible in one day. Because we think that doing more is producing more. But the truth is that people have been doing more and producing less and getting more sick. And marriages are worst, and families are worst. Because if we don't rest, it's like this figurine, everything else in life is going to be affected. So the first thing is rest is holy unto God. It is set apart. Do you know that science has shown that the lack of rest affects the brain? So now you know what has been happening to you. The nervous system, the immune system, and may contribute to premature aging and obesity. This is not a hypothesis. This has been proven scientifically. I believe many of the sicknesses that we have today have to do with lack of rest. Because I believe many of the sicknesses we have today have to do with emotional stuff, but I think many of the emotional stuff have to do with lack of rest. Because we don't function the same when we are anxious. We don't function the same when we are tired. We don't function the same. We don't think the same. We don't decide the same. We don't produce the same. Does that make sense? So to God, rest is holy. It is so important that he separated it. And he said, I need you to dedicate a special time to rest. And the second thing is that our life is built upon rest. What does that mean? Look at this. This is very curious. God created human beings the sixth day. So the first day of our lives on earth was the seventh day, the day of rest. So you see, when God created man, he didn't say, hey, man, I need you to work now. I need you to produce. No. The first day in human beings' life was rest. Don't you think that is very strange? That God didn't say work so you can rest. God said rest so you can. God didn't say work so you have the right to rest. God said first you need to, so then you can. Why? Because life is built upon rest. We think rest goes at the end. We think rest is what you do or what you deserve when you have worked very hard. I brought José today. I usually every Sunday I go pick him up at his house, and we were speaking about this. I told him, with Gabriel, my brother, we were speaking about rest and all that and sleeping. I told him, hey José, do you like to sleep? He said, well, it's that I see sleep as different than other people. Say, what do you think of sleep? He said, for me, sleep is like the reward that I can give myself for working very hard. So he says, if I've worked very hard, I think I deserve to sleep, and I go to sleep at whatever hour of the day. He said, for example, yesterday he said he slept like from 7 to 10. 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then he went back to work, and then he slept again. He said, if I haven't worked that hard, I think I cannot sleep. I don't deserve to sleep. You see, so his concept of sleeping is usually human beings' concept of sleeping. That sleeping and resting is the reward or what we do after we have worked. But God says that rest is not what you do at the end. Rest is what you do at the beginning. Because we build our lives upon rest. So rest is what allows us to live a healthy life. Rest is not what you do when you're burnt. Rest is what you do in the beginning so you don't get burnt. That's why you see that in sports, every time a season ends, before a new season begins, they give vacations to the athletes, because they need the athletes with fresh muscles, fresh energy. It's not only that they need to rest from the last season, they need to be rested for the new season. Because they know they won't be able to produce and to work as efficiently if first they don't rest. But we don't like to see life like that. In fact, many people hate resting. Even though young people like to sleep, that doesn't mean they like to rest. Because life has been training us to produce and work and not to waste our time, because we think that resting is a waste of time. We think that if we're not producing something, we're wasting our time. And God is saying, you won't be able to produce something forever unless you learn how to rest. And I have a couple of examples here. Rest is so important, and because of two things. In this point of we're building our lives from rest. You know that when God established the Shabbat, that was the seventh day, usually it was first the Saturday. It wasn't really Saturday. It began Friday at 6 and it ended Saturday at 6. Nowadays, we practice it differently, but we're supposed to have a day that is dedicated to rest. And that day of rest, some churches believe, and it's a wrong belief, that you use it like only to worship. Like the whole day you have to be worshiping and you have to be fasting. And we think that rest for God only means like dedicating yourself to Him. And that's not true. Rest had to do with spiritual things, emotional things, and physical things. So for example, having fun is rest. I love to go to the movies. When I'm emotionally drained, I don't go like, I need to see something like Mission Impossible. I need to see people being, dying and a lot of blood. And that's what I need to see. And I need to see, Bruce Lee. I prefer to see that there than killing sheep at my church. You see? So, and it's more convenient for me, and it's more convenient for you too. So when I go to the movies, I just saw Mission Impossible, and I'm like, wow. And at the end, I'm like, wow. I just feel that the toxicity in my brain has been sucked away. Okay? So, but the day of rest had two very important ingredients. Listen to this. First, people would go to church or to the synagogue to worship. But remember, the day of rest was not the last day of the week. It was the first day of the week. Sunday is not the last day of the week. Sunday is the first day of the week. Because the week doesn't start working. The week starts resting. Because we build upon rest. But we think that the week starts Monday because we are beginning to do something. So we say, no, this is when the week begins because I'm producing something. And Sunday is the last day because I'm resting from all the hard work I did. And God says, no, it's the opposite. You begin Sunday with rest, and then you end Saturday after you finish working. So this is important because then you say, okay, so Sunday is the first day. Remember, the first day in human beings' life was rest. They would go to worship. Worship meant that I would go to church or the synagogue to tell God that He's my Lord, the Lord of my life, that He guides me. Whatever He says I'm going to do, He leads me. So the first thing that happens with rest is that it shows dependence on God. You cannot have rest if you don't depend. Do you say on God? If you don't depend on God, you will never be able to rest. That's why the rest day involves worship, and it was the first day of the week. Dependence. The second thing they would do is they would bring their tithes and offerings. So this is strange because you say, okay, if it's the first day, I thought I would bring my tithes and offerings at the end because I worked, I earned money, and I give my tithes and offerings. And God says, no, it's the opposite. First you bring your tithes and offerings, then you work. You say, that's not logical. Yes, because when you bring your tithes and offerings, you're telling God, you are the one that provides for me. I trust that if I put you first, you guide me, worship, you are my king, you tell me what to do, and I bring you my offerings and my tithes, I'm telling you, you are my provider. I depend on you. That's why tithes is not the 10% of your income, is the first 10% of your income. It's not the same thing. Because some people, what they do is they say, okay, I have some money here, I pay the rent, and this is what I have left. You see, that's putting rest at the end. But God says rest is not the end. Rest is the beginning. So when you give your tithes and offerings and when you worship God, you're saying, my rest is on you, I depend on you, you provide for me, and the way I'm showing this is I'm giving you my tithes and offerings even though I haven't even worked yet. And this means that my week is going to begin established on you, my rest on you, my dependence on you, because life is built upon rest. Does that make sense? And one more thing. I'm still in the second point, but we're super. The time is. Rest is essential for productivity. So the first point was rest is holy unto God. Okay, set apart. If you mess with rest, your life is going to be affected. The second point is our life is built upon rest, and we just spoke about dependence is the first thing, and now productivity is part of the second point. Rest is essential for productivity. You cannot remain productive, and for productive, I don't only mean money. For me, productive is school. For me, productive is college. For me, productive is your career. Productive means that in life, whatever you do bears fruit. Productive is the opposite of, ¿cómo se dice estéril? Or barren. Barren es más de la mujer. Okay. Sterile, por eso digo. Okay. So, the opposite of fertile, infertile, okay, that it doesn't bear fruit. It doesn't matter in what stage of your life you are. You can be productive or infertile. Infertile means that you work, and you don't see fruit. You know what tires people the most is not working hard, it's working without fruit. Because if you work hard and at the end of the day you see the fruit of your labor and they pay you good money, you say, you know, it was worth it. But if you work your off, that, and at the end of the day you don't see anything, you're going to get frustrated and you begin to lose hope and the desire to work. And you don't want to go back. And you say, I hate my work. No, you don't hate your work. You hate working without productivity. And you cannot be productive without rest, not even in school. Because, for example, if you are like I was, I'm not like that anymore, I would always study for my test the last day. It doesn't matter if I knew 2 months in advance. I would begin 2 months in advance. Tomorrow I'm going to begin. Then the next day, hey, Jose, let's go play soccer. Okay, I still have, 59 days. The next day, hey, Jose, I think that 1 month is enough. Okay, I would always study the last night, cramming till 4 or 5 in the morning with a huge jar of black coffee. So I wouldn't fall asleep, and I would go the next day like that to school. No, that would work for the first test. But by the third test, I couldn't even remember my name. I'm not lying. It's not an exaggeration. I remember being in the university in a test that I needed to get an A+ to pass the subject. I just needed an A+, no pressure there. I remember I studied the whole night with my huge coffee. I drank glasses of coffee the whole night. I would sleep 10 minutes, take a policeman bath, like they say in Barranquilla, policeman bath, that's it. And I remember that I would come out of my house, go to the bus station, and I would feel that everybody was going like fast, and I was going like slow-mo, like, hey, good morning. I remember sitting down, watching the piece of paper, and I didn't know how to put my name. I couldn't write anything. I had studied everything, but I had not rested. Sooner or later, your productivity is going to be affected by lack of rest. Rest is so important that God commanded even the land to rest. I have the verse here. It says in Leviticus 25:2, give the following instructions to the people of Israel. When you have entered the land I am giving you, the land itself must observe a Shabbat rest before the Lord every 7th year. So you can talk to a person that is into agriculture and they'll let you know that the land needs to rest. So everything God created needs to rest. Go see Marley. Marley, my dog. He knows a lot about rest because he sleeps all day. And he snores like his mom. By his mom, I mean my wife. Okay? It's a Christian thing. He goes like, and everything God created needs to rest in order to function in a healthy way and be productive. And the third thing that I want to finish with today is in order to rest, listen to this, we need to finish. In order to rest, we need to finish. The verse says, on the seventh day, God had finished his work of creation, so he rested. I want to tell you something. The reason many believers and many human beings cannot rest is because they never finish what they start. Rest comes when you finish. So not only you build upon rest, after you finish, then you rest. You not only rest physically, you rest mentally, because in your mind, you know that you finished. But if you are like me, you love to start new endeavors in life. You love new projects. You just hate staying there for too long. And let me tell you, God taught me to finish what I start. Because my personality is a personality that loves to start new things. I hate to remain there. But I noticed that I was hurting myself, hurting the people I love, and I began living life, and then I would look back and I wouldn't have nothing to show for. Nothing, no career, nothing, no diploma, nothing, no material things, nothing. And the problem is that now I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I have kids, and God demands from me an inheritance for my kids. But you don't have an inheritance if you don't finish things. You see, you only have great ideas, a lot of creativity, nothing, no legacy for the next generation. So now as a father and as a husband and as a pastor, and I believe God has given me an apostolic function also, I need to finish things because I need to leave something, not only for my kids, for the new generation. So every time I'm making new decisions here, like what I said, when you come next week, you're going to see new things, all that. That's not about me. That's about you. It's about you. And it's not about you. It's about your kids. Because I'm learning that I need to plan for the long term. But we, Christians, we're thinking that Jesus is coming tomorrow, and we don't plan for the long term. We're living for the now. And I want to leave something here for my great-grandkids. Because I don't know if Jesus is coming in 5 years or 10 years. But I was getting tired. And I was doing a lot of stuff that I loved. And I was still getting burnt and tired. And the Lord told me, you don't finish what you start. And the rest is at the end. You need to finish to rest. It's like you close. It's closure. It's closure. Some of you never have closure. You never have closure. You don't have the privilege of saying, wow, I finished this stage in my life. Now I am able to begin something new. But we are in the middle of a generation that doesn't have to finish. They jump from one thing to another. They jump from one thing to another. And they have all the information, in their phones, and you have the YouTube videos, and you know how to do things. And today's generation, even though it's the most intelligent generation that I've known, it's also the most cocky generation that I've known. They don't want to be taught. They know everything. I mean, they haven't done anything, but they know everything. Mi amor, tal cosa, ya yo sé cómo se hace. Baby, tal cosa, I know. But you've never done that. I know. I saw a video. ¿Qué video ni qué video, man? You know what? You may know the process, but you don't have the experience. And there are many things that you find out just bumping yourself with things. Just because you have the video doesn't mean that you're able to construct that. So we have a generation that has a lot of knowledge with a lot of cockiness. And they don't have the experience, they don't have the life. And when they find the obstacle, they just jump to a new thing. I know how to do it. And then comes the word that I hate. I'm bored. I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I'm bored. Of what? I'm bored. Usually when a kid or a young person tells you they're bored, is that they're not doing what they would like to be doing. It's not that they're bored. is that they would prefer to be doing something else. So you can give them all the ideas. You can be, God creative. Like, why don't we go, parachute. Throw ourselves with a parachute. I'm bored. Why don't we, ride a bike? That's boring. Why don't we go to a pool? I'm bored. I'm bored. That's a very grave, ¿cómo se dice? No, pero grave, severe, bad thing. Because boredom, wow, that's a big word. Boredom, if you don't know how to manage boredom, you won't be able to finish tasks in life. Because everything we do has a boring part. Everything. Even the most adventurous, emocionante, exciting career has boring subjects. I want to be a fighter jet pilot. You need to know physics. No, I just want to fly that animal, man, that beast. Well, they won't let you fly that beast if you don't know physics and dynamics. You need to know math. I hate math. I love planes. Well, you want to ride a plane, you got to know math. And my daughter, Lina Marcela, wanted to be a psychologist. She loves people and treating people and counseling people and messing with people. And one day she came and said, I hate psychology. I hate psychology. But you love psychology. But I hate statistics, because in psychology, you need to know statistics. I hate math. I hate statistics, so I hate psychology. I told her, no, you don't hate psychology. You hate math. You love psychology. It's a problem there, because if you don't learn how to go through math, even though you hate it and it bores you, you'll never be a psychologist. Oh, that's deep, man. That's deep. And nowadays, young people, the moment they find the first thing that bores them or they don't like, immediately they jump to another thing, and there's a problem. You can only rest after you finish. So you're going to live a life of unrest. Even though you may have a lot of stuff, begun a lot of new endeavors and projects in your life, you won't have anything to show for. Nothing to leave for your kids unless you finish. And you are hearing this from somebody that is a miracle in that area. And it's like this. You heard me say this before, but I want to finish with this. You know the hourglass? You know the hourglass that have sand inside and they are like this? And you turn them around and it tells time. It doesn't tell time. It tells us, it measures a span of time. And you know that opportunities in life are like an hourglass. When you see them, they look big, like, wow, what a great opportunity. I have this business for you. Wow, we're going to make a lot of money. We're going to buy this restaurant. And, I created this new type of food, gastronomy is called. I remember I was going to put a restaurant. It was called Med Fusion. I registered the name, and it's like Mediterranean with fusion food. And I had never seen this before. And it's great. I bought the name. I registered the name, the copyrights. I did all the, the business. But when you begin, it looks big. But when you begin, to walk, it begins to feel smaller and narrower. And it comes to the point where it's very narrow and you feel like you're suffocating. Everything is difficult. They need more money, more investment, more work. You need time. Now you don't have time for your family. And it goes so narrow, so narrow, so narrow. And there's where people usually quit. There's nothing in life that doesn't become narrow for a moment.